security measures for farmers, for farm workers, and ultimately that will enhance our economy as well, because with all the trauma that's happening out in our rural areas, it is having massive impact on our economy and growth as a country.
Thank you. Mine is on digital policy when it comes to the resurgence. People of South Africa have got different views about the resurgence since the level of crime is too high in this case.
So we want reviewed so that we remove the sentence, or we want it to be there.
No, I just want the government to close to this issue, because some other people we have expected maybe some other people may be dealing with this issue by mistake. Because some other people just say what they want about their people, they don't like it. Just this is it. Applicants to be free to move and
Want it to be inside, reason. Right? Yes. The policy.
It's education policy, but concerned about the system, which is education policy. I don't see the impact. Keeps on changing. Now we don't know where we stand with the education.
Yes, education policy. Currently is not benefiting the learners. Yes.
Thank you very much. The section 27 of the South African Constitution, the C, which is social security, it says they ought, or the societies ought and is supposed to be able to support themselves and their dependents and appropriate social assistance. That needs to be done entirely irrespective of where the distance from KwaZulu-Natal. Just so to minimize the name calling that we get during or towards our elections. Because according to the voters or the society, from time to time, they tend to believe that Section 27 only applies to them during or towards the elections, whereas they should, when they are ought to know that it applies irrespective of the period. Political. Yes.
Mine also is the immigration policy. Immigration coincidence which we are the same policy.
Can be the report there.
No, we can have different reasons, maybe. I feel that there must be control on our borders. And people from other countries who find it easy to come in and out as they please. And I am more concerned about the economy of South Africa and the resources, because when they are here illegally and undocumented, they eat into our resources. Like I've seen the Honorable Minister Motswaledi, he was on a campaign in hospital to give certificates, but then he would fund undocumented Africans who are here, we have given birth into our hospitals, but they don't have documents themselves, so their children can't have birth certificates. So it's a reality, it's there. So I feel we need to tighten up that policy.
She talks, she's talking about the policy, and I will give that to Brief.
already saw my policy. Immigration policies, borders and what we are saying here.
Yes.
When it became global, we just turned into a pot of honey and gold. Everybody is flocking in. It's not only the African states, Asia, they are depleting our resources, go to the wildlife, they are poaching, and our kids will never see a rhino in 15 years' time. And other animals, and they come here also. Immigration comes with trafficking, human trafficking. It comes with also economic meltdown in South Africa. They are stealing our coppers. They are putting it straight to Asia, and they are developing their countries. And our economy remains undeveloped. And if we don't really go into immigration policy, we are going to find South Africa eating each other because we won't have food animals. So it needs to be reviewed. But what I don't agree to is that it should be limited to the SADC regions only. Everybody who comes in and out of this country should be, there must be a way to monitor.
To regulate.
To regulate.
So. I didn't give anyone a chance to speak. I just speak from the table because I stood off them, but it's fine.
Because we are here as women leaders. And can I take a minute and check with them? How do they feel about the medical castration? I just want to hear their views. Because these are leaders, we need to go back to my party to tell them how other women feel about it. It's important.
Okay, I'll just speak one. What do you think to respond to a question? What do you think about medical castration?
Don't take a party position, take a position.
Sorry.
What is talking about the policy?
Yes, the party is not the line divided. We don't like that. Is the night specific in this issue, money to inform that there is a from is in our we need to. If the mine is shut down, there must be something that protect.
Like the police to protect them. There's no one mind.
How do we feel about this?
The first that I think has to be reviewed is the most yes, I think it limits the strict measure that should be in place on this, make it hard for people go to an extent where they will be able to embrace in a way that they will have the projects that sustain them. That's why I need to very good.
You said on the issue of medical castration, you can write those responses and then you can give to them.
It's important.
Just give your views on medical castration, write it down. Right. So let's go on so when you're conducting a policy, just like review, just like research, there's a process that one is to follow for policy review. So stage number one, you need to conduct a needs analysis. This is where you say you are, my honorable member said, you observe. So in the need analysis you're observing, is the policy making or not? Or you're observing, okay, we are having a high influx of illegal immigrants. What can we do about it? What is the cause? Or you can look at the high death when it comes to targets. What is causing this? You're just making a need analysis. You're analyzing what is the problem, what are the needs, what is causing A, B, C, D, right? So in the analysis, this way you identify issues that could trigger a policy review or new policy development. Let's say you're having so many women losing their kids while it's giving birth. What is triggering this? By having so many youngsters being raped, what should be done? Right. So we are identifying the triggers. Triggers can include policy gaps, which may come through consultation, or you might be consulting your members of constituents and say, you know what, we're struggling with water. We don't have water, we only find water once a week and all that. So it can also come through identification or even reading through newspapers what is being reported by journalists. It can also be through stakeholders. You guys, you meet with departments, you can be able to notice the policy gaps while they're presenting to you. You can also, in your site visits to different departments and places, you can also be able to notice areas that needs policy review. So once you've identified, once you've conducted a needs analysis, you then go on to research. That's when you're now researching more about that policy. He said you need to change the age of consent to 18. You now need to make a research. Which are the countries that have conducted such a review, and which are the countries that have their age, whatever is 18. How are they benefiting? How have they reduced the rate or GBV in their countries where they changed their age from 16 to 18? And all the other things that we mentioned in research. So this stage is where you have to analyze any relevant information that could inform the policy development and review as to whether a rule, policy, procedure, or guideline is required and the degree to which it accords a strategic plan. This may include, but not be limited to, data analysis, literature review, and best practice. Best practice, we say we are looking at what other countries are doing or what other provincial parliaments are doing. Analysis, we hope to identify whether legislative or other external regulations will impact on the policy proposal. At this stage, you analyze the implications of the policy development and review and consider how the proposed policy will impact on other existing policies, stakeholders, administrative procedures, and system development. So you make a research, you say, okay, if I have to review this, how is it going to impact on children? How is it going to impact on the stakeholders? How is it going to impact on the country and overall on other areas? After you conducted the research, you go on to stage 3 where you are now drafting. Drafting, depending on the extent of change, agents, and timing of the policy, stakeholders should be consulted and have the opportunity to comment on the draft policy. So you're now drafting the policy review now. You don't need to conduct consultations. If it's a policy on children, you don't need to conduct parents, educators, stakeholders, and all that. Those are your stakeholders. If it's about the economy, you have to consult business people, you have to consult business experts. If it's small to business enterprise, you have to consult also. They say, okay, we're trying to review this policy. Which areas do you think need to be addressed? What are the bottlenecks? So they help you in your drafting. Their information helps you in building up your draft. Changes that emerge from this consultation process may indicate the need for further drafting of the policy as well as drawing on the expertise. So from the consultation, you might find out that probably what you are saying, what you've been indicating about immigration, when you do a stakeholders consultation, you might find that probably there's more better solution than what you're thinking. So you might then also want to incorporate what you're getting from experts, from different stakeholders into your policy. It then becomes a broad-based policy review that includes views of everyone, and it becomes a perfect policy. Stage 4 is this is the consultation. So you then identify the stakeholders that you've identified in the earlier stages of the process, they need to be consulted with to regard the development of the draft policy, and where possible, those who participate in the consultative process be invited to offer feedback. So you then go with them with the draft, ask for their feedback on the policy. And then stage 5, approval. The drafted policy document should be submitted to approval in Parliament. So it also goes to Parliament, it also goes through a rigorous process whereby members have to go through it again, review it, and see if there are any challenges or any bottlenecks or areas that they need to be that need to be changed. And then stage number 6, you now need to communicate your policy. But it has now been legislated. You now need to communicate it. This way you use your Facebook, your social media, traditional media, newspapers, TV, and all that. Communicate to different stakeholders and people that, okay, we have now changed the age of consent, it's no longer 16, it's now 18. Doing community feedbacks in your communities, moving around, conducting constituent feedbacks, telling your community that no, man, it's no longer 16, it's now 18. If you sleep with someone 16, you're going to be arrested. The policy has been changed. So communication needs to be conducted. That's a very important stage of policy review. And implementation. This way you now check the department. Are they implementing what has been agreed as policy? Is the Department of Health implementing the new policy? If it's a policy on education, is the Department of Education? Yes, are they implementing the policy on medical illustration, as she said? Then stage number 7, maintenance and review. After you have reviewed that policy, you need also to review it again. That you have changed the age of 16 to 18, but has it worked? Is it working or not? If it's working, I guess we should maintain it. If it's not, probably we need to do another policy review and probably change it from 18 to 21, or even go back to 16. So it's a review in a review. You have to check that policy that you have reviewed, if it's now working after you've implemented it. We have done this. We have done this activity. So, any questions on policy review and analysis before we move on to report writing? Any questions? There's no question. So I think let's move to report writing. Oh, sorry. A good question. Okay. I'm going to send the. Yeah, I'm going to do the. I'm going to send you the. Sorry, the presentations.
No, I'm saying that this for us saying that 4 years, and then you send to us for.
Right. So we want to focus on report writing. This is very important. Report writing is very important. So, what is report? What is the report? What is the report if I have to ask? What is the report? Always say in your committee meetings you should present a report, or else as the committee we are going to bite you. What is the report? You demand that department.
The state of affairs.
He said the state of affairs. Who else?
I.
But
What has been.
yeah, they're told.
Is there
A report can be written or verbal.
Okay.
Stating what we have done and what we have avoided to somebody. That's it.
Okay. So you are more like that.
More
Verbally, writing to explain what it happened. Okay. We also.
It's a feedback information that you are being given, done, or that you.
Yes, it's a feedback. Report is a feedback. So when you're saying report writing, we are trying to train each other on how we should do it. Different. If you look at journalists, they come from different media houses. We've got a journalist from a state-run newspaper, and a journalist from a private newspaper, and a journalist from a blog newspaper. You know those newspapers that always run with controversies. Like so and so FPL was caught at a lodge with whatever, you know them. Yeah, they always, those tabloids, they run with a certain narrative. If we actually invite them at this training lecture, and then tomorrow you were to read what they would have reported, you find that 3 journalists, different, coming from different institutions, they wrote about the same event, but in a totally different form.
Yes, whilst we are in the report writing project, can we check on the visual platforms if they want also to participate? I think Olani will assist us on that, because seemingly it's like we are neglecting them. We don't know whether they.
Yes.
I'm
still not convinced why I'm taking my response. If I'm not translating like that.
Oh, I took it, I think it's correct.
Oh.
So you find that report writing is done in a different way depending on the audience. So I come from a state newspaper. The way I should be reporting about this event should be developmental, should be seen as something that is very important, that is nation building and all that. From a private point of view, they might just want to attack it. And then probably if it's those cables, they might just want to look for some controversy.
And from business point of view.
They might want to take a business point of view the way that they report. So
It's not also evidence-based.
exactly.
Yeah.
You're just reporting, it's more like you're writing an opinion piece of what you think transpired at an event that you did. I remember
Sometimes they're like a Wikipedia.
exactly. I remember when I was in primary school, each time when you come back in our English, the lesson, the teacher would say, can you write a comprehension for what happened during the holiday? So yeah, so even if I did not go, I would just lie. We went to the rural area, we had a very good time, and we woke up every morning, we went to the crow, we were doing whatever on all lines. But 2 years later, we don't expect you to lie because you are public figures. Everything that you should say should be factual, even though sometimes you've got an element of being political, you are allowed to lie in other jurisdictions.
Reports.
And you can't tell the 2000s to write that. I'll tell you the example.
So this is the definition of a report. So a report is a presentation of facts and findings, usually as a basis for recommendations written for a specific, can I underline, for a specific readership and normally intended to be kept as the. So a report is for a specific readership. That's why I told you that for 3 journalists from different papers, they've got a certain type of readership. So the way that they even write is intended to address that specific readers. So that's a report. But why do we do a report? Why we do a report? Because of compliance. We always tell departments you should submit your reports by blah blah blah. It's a matter of compliance, whether they like it or not. reports should be written. I don't know, from your political parties, you might also ask to write a report. You also might want to write a report because your political party orders you to do that. It can also be used as an evaluation tool. Want to evaluate what is happening in your committees or in your political parties or in government, you can use the report as an evaluation tool. 3, it can be a discussion of outcomes and future courses of action. You can use the report as that tool. And then, thank you, and many more other reasons. There are so many reasons why a report is written. But remember, you occupy public office and you got into that office through public trust and you took an oath of office. Hence, your reports need to be done well. They should be thorough, they should be honest, and they should be accurate. Yes, but I'm telling you anything else. There are no departments here.
Yeah.
It's us.
Remember, you should also write your own report. So that's why I'm saying, and it's a caution, it's an advice to you. You occupy public office, you got into that office through public trust, and you took an oath of office. Yes, your reports need to be done well. They should be thorough. They should be honest. They should be accurate. There's no best advice I can give you except that.
It was written wrong.
Okay, it's true. It should be thorough. Yeah, you should have a PhD in English. Right. There is an approach in writing a report. We've got a 6-stage approach on writing a report. The first thing is to understand the purpose and the reader. What is the purpose of this report? Purpose can be, I'm writing this report because I want to inform my constituency of what is happening in Parliament today. Or the purpose may be, I want to write a report to inform my constituency on what transpired in our community today on women. I want to write a report to my political party to inform them on what happened in Parliament today. So you see, the purpose and the reader is different. The purpose can be to inform your constituency, and the readers of your report are going to be your constituency people. The purpose can be of informing your political party, the reader will definitely be your political party. The purpose can be of informing your stakeholders. So the purpose of the report may be to inform stakeholders, but the readers are the stakeholders. So each and every report has got a different purpose and a reader. Right.
Maintaining and betting here this bill was
Exactly. So the stage number 2 is about the materials and structure that you need to use in your report. And then there's a style and presentation. For every report that you do, there's a style and presentation. In organizations that we work, they tell us that in each organization there's a template. This is our reporting template. This is how we report. If you go to a different organization, they'll tell you this is our reporting template. So you have to follow it. Unless if you get into a different organization that tells them you don't have a reporting template, report the way you want. So when you're defining what is the purpose, this is the reason why you are writing the report. This determines the kind of report, that is the actual factual report, which gives a straightforward statement of the facts. So what kind of a report? The report that you're doing, it has got a type. Is it a factual report that you want to make things correct, factually correct? Or is it a report where you just want to inform people on what was happening in Parliament? Or is it a report on recommendations that have been done by certain departments that you want the people to know? Or is it a report on a policy review that has been done and has already been legislated? So the purpose of the report depends on the kind of report. NB issues to have analysis of facts. There should be facts in your report. Step number 2, identifying the reader. So you're writing this report, you have to ask yourself 3 questions. What does the reader know? What are the reader's attitudes? What does the reader really want? So assuming you want to write a report to your constituents, let's say it's a rural constituency, there's no need for you to be using big English or trying to be so complicated. You know your people, you know your constituents. So when you're identifying such a constituency, you say these are going to be my readers. The way that you're going to structure your report
should speak to
just like how you know to behave when you are in your political party in your campaign. It's a certain type of way that you behave. But when you are in a space like this, it's different. That's the same with writing a report. You have to identify, I'm writing to my political party, okay, I should write it this way. I'm writing to my community, okay, my community is made up of probably 3/4 of people are not educated, so let me try and break it down to the very easiest and basic. Exactly. So you always communicating the level of knowledge of the reader. Try by all means to put yourself at the level of the reader to see if the reader is going to understand. And then reader's attitude, you are taking into account the reader's special interest, likes and dislikes. What does the reader want? What does the reader does not want? And then number 3, what does the reader really want?
but even if you do the reader,
Exactly.
make sure that you don't disturb something. And it's a matter of how you put it, but make sure that you don't run
They don't need to babysit each other in life. Facts always should be said.
I was talking about sexuality of that. Whether not to offend the person but state the facts that they are. But in a manner that is, of course, respectful. Especially around each of service delivery.
Exactly.
You must not give empty promises and say this is going to happen and so on, knowing very well that there is a budget constraints. Yeah.
So what does the reader really want? Politicians have got the appetite of making promises. They cannot be able to. So make sure you are writing a report. Establish hopes that you can also meet the expectation and prepare your case accordingly. You can't be telling your colleague that don't worry, in the next 2 weeks we will have tape board when you actually know that you don't even have the resources.
No, sometimes the politicians do these things on the advice of the officials. When you have got a meeting, you are told by the official that in that particular date, it's going to be realized, only to find that in that particular date, it's not coming up. And the person that will be blamed will be a politician. Remember that the officials are full-time politicians, you know, and they advise you. That's why there is a support staff. You will take a thing that you are told by, I want to make an example, is the issue of the load shedding. When the president was advised that no, there will be no load shedding, only to find that there was another load shedding. But it's not that the politicians, they want to give empty promises. It's through the wrong advices sometimes that lead to the politicians saying things that is not going to be realized. Thanks.
Maybe we have, I don't know how to connect it, but since we've learned that there has been funding, that is available, we can ask if there is, we can be participated on other issues. I think the one that was raised by the chair of the officials not saying which one to be superior. Maybe it's not important. It's not only about what we've written. I think what affects us the most is South Africa and the better shared in media. Not institutional media, even international TV, national television and radios. And you get that there is so much that has been allocated in different events, there's nothing like that. But when you talk of the people that the suspect mostly to what it would be the frontliners, then we forget about the people that are there, that are dealing with the systems, even the ones that are the sort of the budget. Because that creates non-alignment. The ones that are frontliners will have plans that are not talk to what was presented by the senior managers. So I think it's something like, I don't know which cause can it be, but that one needs to be addressed because it's a very, very, very serious problem that we are facing as legislators. I think what is affecting it, there is a particular. Because the perception might be created to the entire community that you as a legislature have that money that was promised or that was presented by the national minister or the deputy minister or whoever. Yet there's nothing that talks to us. And it creates havoc, such an extent that the opposition, those in the opposition that you can pointing fingers to you as a government party to say you are corrupt. Yet there was nothing. But I think there must be something that we need to capacity on how to deal with that element, which is making us to lose the ground and also cause so much confusion and that effect on us.
I think in our recommendations, and we draw recommendations later, kindly remember that that aspect, and then we can write it down, and then
Yes.
we can deliberate on it.
Yeah, but you know why sometimes the politicians they say they give empty promises. I want to cite an example.
Yes.
We approved the budget on certain betterment objectives, only to find that, like during the COVID-19, we take this what we have approved. We go to the communities, we say this is what we are going to do. Come COVID-19, it was not budgeted for, it was unexpected, it was a first of its kind, and then we don't have a budget, but we need to try and curb this gap. And then now they said reprioritize, and what you reported to the community now, you are not going to deliver. Because now you have diverted the funds to the COVID-19. Even on the issue of disasters, the disasters, they come huge, there is no budget for it. But now, when you have already budgeted, because this one is now urgent, you know, you divert the funds and they come back and say politicians lie. They promise this and this. Some of these things is beyond the control of the politicians, like the issue of disasters and also the diseases that just come unexpectedly. So we want, when you engage other professionals, to also know that it does happen, not aiming to it, but because of the circumstances.
Coming from a different perspective, which end you look at it. You know, I personally think the gray areas, wherever they are done to confuse people. Because I understand the issue of COVID and everything, but there is a gap. There is communication. Why don't you communicate? Tell the people that we are now moving this budget because of this reason, and we're going to do this, so that everyone is aware. There will be no confusion if we are transparent and we make people know. And also, as I hear in this workshop, we are discussing as a team. I think we need to have a way where in the legislation we are informed that we have now changed from one to this, so that I fail to critique you because I know that there was hidden in the information.
I think it is correct, but all the members, including the opposition, when we pass the budget and redivert the funds, they are part of it. So they have the information that the funds has been diverted because they are part of approving the budget and also reviewing the budget.
Now you see, on this matter, this is where it is important to constantly be, if you're constantly in touch and you're constantly reporting
Yes.
what is happening in parliament to your constituents, they will never say that you're lying to us. So today you have made, let's say, the Department of Works, of water, yes, and they tell you that you are going to give you water in 2 weeks, and then you report it, right? And then immediately when they tell you that they can no longer give you whatever that, and you then report as well.
Yeah.
The community can actually know that it's not the problem of our member. Our member is constantly telling us the problems, what has been happening. So I think the problem is with the department, not with our member.
Yes.
No, but I'm saying if you constantly.
No, maybe everyone is missing one. I'm saying I'm the National Minister of Court, or the Deputy Minister of Court. I'm saying for KZN, I'm the minister going to the national television or the national radio station. This is the report that I'm giving. For this financial year, this is what we're going to do. And I highlight KZN. This is so much that we're going to give to assist them to care the issue of water shortage. We are going to give 240 water tankers. Now you get me. I'm going on it's a national television. Everyone can listen to it, otherwise we rewind so that he or she listens to it. Then this is a culture embassy.
Oh, thank you.
This is a culture embassy. And for her, she sits in they call it Willimac. There will be municipal mayors and these MMs. They will want to see this 240 water tankers and allocation of funds. Only to find that not even the single water tanker came. Even if it came, maybe they only had to wait. We see the difference. Then this one is an opportunity. And to this one to turn against this person to say, now that you are known to be corrupt, then it's high likely that you have sold to those water tankers. That's how I'm saying. We need, I identify that as a gray area. It's tantamount to, of course, communication, one that was highlighted by the chair, when saying the officials might mislead. But for us, as the politicians or as the people that are playing oversight over the ones, maybe we should be able to say, before I even make a pronouncement, I must check the factuality of that which I'm supposed to report on. Then I am requesting that find the assistance if we have to empower them how to do it, because sometimes will be stopped by the fact that 52% no, when you do that, you are micromanaging. You're not supposed to go allow the officer. So that's any that I want to make my submission and request to say, kindly look at how best can we be equipped, because most of the time we fail because of these officials, but what becomes our work if we fail to see the truth and the lies, the figures. Thank you.
I take note. I take it. Now let's move on.
But Nyasha, you were correct that what said I was saying the report make it is true that as you summarize it to say that if you constantly inform your constituency, you won't have that problem. But what is happening also, we are having a challenge. There are constituent offices that we have in different areas. But some of the challenges is that those people and some of the people, they don't have constituencies, but the legislature is paying money for constituencies so that you communicate, all the information. And when the information is not communicated, despite that, and maybe the ruling party has put the offices for that, you'll find that those people, they don't do it and come and blame again the government without them, calling in the meetings for that. So I think it's correct to say that whilst we are saying that we take decisions together, but we must also communicate if there are challenges. Because most of the communities are being, some of us, we go to the communities and said, this money that was pronounced, we must ask where it is. Whereas all of us, we were part of taking the decision to divert the funds because of unexpected consequences that just came.
So I think we also speak about dirty politics.
Yes.
You sit down as committee members, like you sit down as women's caucus, and we agree what to do A, B, C, D, or we. And then those who are at the ruling party, they are definitely at the receiving end because that then goes against what the public wants. The opposition can then just use that. So it's not about morals and ethics. It's nothing
It's about being factual and honest also as members of the legislature or parliament. It's very important.
So we then want to look at setting the objective. You should understand when you're writing a report, you need to set the objective. So the objective is what you want the reader to think and do after reading the report. We must have a logical and consistent case. So when you're